So would it be fair to say this is an inaugural meeting, that Westville has never had a work session type meeting, or have they had them in the past?
We had one last year on January 20th.
Okay.
A work session to plan projects for this year, for 2020, and which a lot of them weren't acted on. So this is the start of hoping things going.
Good.
Did you get that, Bill?
Yeah, it just came through.
Wait, there's another. I just have to decipher it.
Okay.
So many I took today. The second one he wiped out completely.
All right, we got everybody on. I think it's
Everybody on that you can be, yes.
Kate, you good? You ready?
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, we'll call the work session in the Westville Borough Council to order, please. All rise for salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
To the flag,
to the flag
United States of
of
America,
America,
To
To
the
the
to the
republic,
republic
for which it
for
stands,
which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Public notice, please.
Notice of this meeting was advertised in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and complies with all the laws therein. Notice was published in the South Jersey Times, uploaded to the municipal website, sent to the Courier Post for information, and posted in the lobby of the municipal building.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Sims,
Here.
Council President Murtaugh,
Here.
Councilmember D'Amico,
here,
Councilmember Lawrence,
Here.
Councilmember Maley,
Here.
Councilmember Nordaby, and Councilmember Young.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum to proceed. Next order, please.
First order is public portion, Mayor.
Need a motion to open the meeting to the public, please.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. The meeting is now open to the general public for any comments that they wish to address with council. This is the only one of the night. There will not be one at the end. Seeing none, we need a motion to close the meeting.
Make a motion. Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Okay, I just want to make a comment before we get started here. So as you know, this is our first work session. We haven't had work sessions in many years, the way we're going to have them this year. We did have one to summarize last year at the beginning of the year. To be exact, it was January 20th of 2020 that former Mayor Welsh put together. And I actually had the topics in my hand that we all discussed. And several of them were on the agenda tonight to go down and discuss and to pick up basically where we left off from last year. I know Councilwoman D'Amico and Councilman Young wasn't here. So hopefully we can fill you in on different things that we did talk about. And for whatever reason, whether it been COVID or It seems like some things fell through the cracks. Some things on this list we actually did get done. But they're not really done in a timely manner to where we can keep the ball rolling on many projects that we have. So the gist of our work sessions for this year is, as you see in front of you, we have maybe 10 topics on the agenda that we're just going to go. They don't have to be in any specific order, and just discuss and get anybody's suggestions or ideas to moving forward. And then if we have to take any action at our next council meeting to move this stuff forward and keep it rolling, then that's the plan. That's my vision of these work sessions. So with that, we'll move to the first topic. And again, this is just a general discussion, so everybody can chime in. And I would like the administrator just to brief everybody on our redevelopment projects that we have going. Whatever we can mention in public, keep everybody abreast of what we're doing.
All right, so we have redevelopment on here. There's quite a few things that's going on, and it probably goes in line with the next topic, which is reinvigorating the downtown. So to kind of go hand in hand on this topic here. What we're going to talk to about downtown is talking about lighting and different things that Travis wants to do across the downtown area. But for the redevelopment part, we already have sent out letters to a couple businesses, as you well know, that we are looking to see if they're looking to sell, and that we possibly could purchase, which we are doing an executive, obviously, in the past. So that's where one of the parts of the redevelopment is. The other parts is we did years ago set up putting in the entire town in a rehabilitation zone. We did that 2 years ago, towards the end of 2019. That will allow us to target specific properties for like redevelopment. You can use all the powers of redevelopment zone outside of, you can't use eminent domain, but you can do all the other powers of redevelopment to get better, to get more options for your zoning, be able to redevelop so many areas, whether it be residential, parks, or businesses. So that's where we're at right now in the beginning stages of that. And as we talked about before, in executive, that we would, at some point when we find out that project that we're ready to move forward on, we would go out for a redevelopment bond and target that project. We have not got started. We have not done anything to where we needed to authorize money at this time yet. That's why we're still in the beginning phases of this project. And I'll get into more details when we go into vacant homes. But that's where the start of it is. I know, but like we should move into the redevelopment, which is one of the main focus of this board, was to start with the downtown area and try to develop the downtown area, because that is the entrance to South Jersey right there. One of them was obviously getting the roads paved, which we were lucky to get recently. And now we want to start targeting the businesses there. That's why we started. We also did painting the not the municipal building, but the public works building, to start bringing up some of our properties that we own and making it look a lot nicer. And that's where we're at right now. And I open for suggestions of how we want to proceed outside of what we've already discussed. Nothing we can talk about in the with the executive, but if we want to talk about more, we can always go in executive during the work session too.
Ryan, just to clarify, you made the statement the whole town is in the redevelopment zone. It's the whole town with the exception of the Grabby's property.
Yeah,
so just want to clarify that for
zone, yeah.
Just making sure that's out there.
Why is that, Chuck?
That was Grabby's wish. They did not want to participate. They have no interest.
Okay. That's fine. All right.
So Ryan, what's your best estimate timeline that we can move forward and act on some of the redevelopment that we have in process?
Right now, we're in the beginning stages of approaching the two businesses that we've wrote letters to already. And wait until a response. And I think we have to give them 30 days, right, Tim, I believe? And then after the 30 days is up, we are allowed to go to the next step and try to offer something.
Yeah, we're initiating, attempting to initiate direct contact first to see if we can just talk about it. Lacking that, then we would move forward with authorizing appraisals of the individual properties. And then upon receipt of the appraisals, we would then use that as our offer to move forward with acquiring the properties. And depending on what the reaction is at that point, we could either come to a resolution, or then we could proceed to take the appropriate action, whether that's redevelopment combination or eminent domain, depending on what words you prefer to use, to acquire the property for the borough.
And that anybody should know, anybody out there, these are vacant properties that have been vacant for many, many years. So it's not like it's just one property that's a viable business or anything like that. This is some businesses that really need rehab.
Have we had any response at all, Tim, from both letters?
Not as of today, Mayor.
Okay.
I think they went out about 2 weeks ago.
Correct. At the latest, yes.
Anyone else have any comments for redevelopment topic for now?
I mean, Mayor, just a general comment, having sat through these concepts in many other towns. I mean, Ryan's comment about the redevelopment plan and your flexibility. I mean, if someone wanted to put up a skyscraper, on Pine Street, we could make that happen by a redevelopment plan. So what that means, if there are potential developers or anyone that's interested in doing something and are concerned about the bureaucracy or variances, use variances, it allows us great flexibility. It gives them that sense of they're able to move forward. It's a great tool. I mean, we've used it in Glassboro for lot specific projects. I mean, the list is endless. Bonesaw, even the the pharmacy on the corner, the Landmark, the Crab Shack place on Delsey Drive, the place out on the Higgins, Ellis Mill, Peace Lane, demountable concepts. So it's really just finding people that want to do something and then making it work for them without having to be concerned about getting approvals, that would impact their financing, things of that sort. Just a high level overview, but it is a great tool, and I'm amazed at how it works. But that's the purpose of the redevelopment law.
So we have more control, Tim, under the redevelopment laws, I guess. To what we want to see happen.
It basically trumps the underlying zoning and affords you unlimited development rights. Again, you could put a building right on the edge of a sidewalk, 10 stories high, if that's what you wanted to do, and somehow that works. You could approve a plan to allow for that type of building. Yes. That might be a little extreme, but that's to try to express how good of a tool it can be if you actually have people interested.
Okay. Councilman Lawrence, you want to brief us on what you're doing with the redevelopment downtown, and see if we have any other comments on it?
Yeah, everyone pretty much hit the main things with a couple businesses we submitted letters to and such. Some of the things we're focusing on, and Donna, let me know if I forget anything, are, the low hanging fruit type things, what we can clean up. Do we need a maintenance schedule? Do we need this? Do we need that to make the downtown nice looking? We're still working on the lights and what we want to do and how we want to do it. Still waiting on an answer from PSE and G, but also we need to figure out what we want to do. You know, and that was one of the stipulations when I talked to our rep from PSE and G. We need to figure out what we want to do in order for them to move forward, for them to give any type of approval. So, you know, those light posts that we have, we can do whatever we want with those. It's the questions of hanging lights along the telephone poles and decor and whatever else on what we had questions on. And I know some of our businesses had questions on. So that's what we're, you know, we got to put something together on that. If we can add that to our reoccurring list, Ryan, on, you know, things we need to discuss and move forward on and exactly what we want to do. The other couple things we talked about are parking. We know parking's an issue. You know, one of the things we talk about whenever we talk about one of the buildings in town, it's, you know, oh, let's make it a parking lot. We need parking downtown. Well, I think we need to assess the parking we have in town and what parking we're going to make in town. You know, because I don't want a downtown that's used car lots and parking lots. We need to be viable. So some of the things we talked about in our meeting is marking out the spots along Broadway, marking out physical spots and what we can do. Donna, are you still waiting on an answer from the county?
No, I received an answer and we can do whatever we want to. When we do it, I'm just going to notify Joe.
Perfect.
When we mark them out the paint.
Perfect.
That signage, whatever we want to do.
Okay, that's great. So then we have that answer.
Yeah.
And then, you know, looking at our parking lots, the parking lot behind Speranza's, the old Borough parking lot on Crown Point there where the garages are and stuff. Looking at those, you know, repaving them, getting lights down there, marking them out, marking the spots out, you know, and moving forward there. Some of the other things, what we talked about were the trees, replacing some of the trees downtown, and getting them ready to go. I believe, Marty, we said April. Is that correct? Yeah.
It is, yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Good time to plant.
Yeah. We talked to the Gloucester County arborist as well as John, our engineer, to figure out the best trees that we can have for downtown that's not going to go into the power lines, tear up the sidewalk, so on and so forth. You know, and not a lot of maintenance. So those things we're looking at. That's what I got. I mean, other things we could talk about and I guess reinvigorating, or I guess would fall on our reinvigorating our downtown, right, Ryan?
Yes, that's all this is, all this is. And while you're on your point of the parking lot at the Crown Point where we just demoed the old Borough Hall, that is in our plans to, we should have enough money to go out and that's already in our capital to pave that lot and get lighting there. So that's one of the things we're hoping to do this year. Waiting for everything to get done with that building and everything level, and then we can start looking at prices to pave that lot right away. I should know after we pay the hall, I'll figure out how much we have left, and we should have a good idea, and then we can go get quotes for paving. I'll get with Marty to find a couple companies that can do that. And if it goes above the threshold, then we'll have to bid it out.
Ryan, what about the Pine Street house that got knocked down to be a parking lot? What's up with that?
Right now, they're working on trying to sell that property to Patrick.
I thought he bought it and knocked the house down.
I don't know what we're still working on a contract with him whether he wants to have like a parking lot set there, but wants to charge the borough. Wasn't something that we were interested in being charged for, but we're still open to ideas that he's presenting.
Okay.
That's where we're at. We didn't sign a contract with him at this time for that property.
Okay.
But we did approve it. We just don't have anything signed.
Yes, that's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
Right.
The other thing, Mayor, is in our committee, there's it's through the NJ EDA, a 21st century grant. It's up to $50,000 that we can apply for. Ryan has been working on it. The submission deadline is not been there yet. They actually held up due to COVID. So they're waiting on putting a deadline in for submission. But that is something else that we are looking at. Like I said, it's up to $50,000, and we can use that to put together a physical plan. You know, we can bring in an outside entity or however we want to do it. Put together a physical plan for downtown, viable businesses and so on. They come through, they look at everything that we have, our assets or this or that, you know, things that we can use, so on and so forth. And they put a plan together to make it a viable downtown. And then we would just follow the plan, whether it's changes in our ordinances, signage, you know, marketing, this, which I know Sandra Kelly's working on. You know, they put a plan together that we can, you know, either approve or deny or whatever, and, you know, go forth.
So when we talk about the grant, Travis, is that the one Ryan's currently working on?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Hasn't been, there's no deadline yet. It was set to, the deadline was set for April of last year, and then they froze it. And then they said they'll let us know when there's a new deadline to come up again. And then it'll be 45 days from the time they open it back up. But what we want to do, and we talked about in the Economic Development Committee, was to get the contract done first, get the application ready, and that way we're not rushing to try to get it completed in the 45 days. So we're still working like, so I'm assuming that'll probably be due probably again in April. We'll probably just reopen it back up in February, but they shut it down last year. So I'm hoping that'll be the case, and it'll be available for April, and we should be ready to go. So it's just a little comprehensive on the narration that we need to do, the subject narrative. But other than that, it's a pretty straightforward grant.
Ryan, did we get awarded Pine Street from the state, or is that just an application?
I believe that's just an application, right, John?
No, we did receive the award for that.
Oh, okay, yeah, we did.
All right, and we should make the parking lots an option off of that when they pave that. When they do the work on Pine Street, make that to try to figure out, I don't know. I think that thing goes to a hill and goes uphill. I don't know if that's any way that can be leveled out or not to make it a bigger parking lot.
Okay.
Good point.
Get them there, it'd be cheap. No, it's cheaper when they're already there. So
Definitely.
John, when will those specs be started? When the weather breaks, or?
Depends on when you have the budget to do it. I'll defer to Ryan on that when you want to get rolling on that one, but we can get going on it now and have it ready for springtime. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward project.
Right.
Not a really long street, so.
It's always a slow process, you know, specs, boarding, set, such.
But this time of the year, we could definitely get it done and have it ready for spring.
I mean, I think we should move forward with it. I don't know if everybody agrees or not, but get the specs ready, get out to bid, see what kind of number we get.
Well, that's where we're at now, Donna, with trying for Boundary and Birch. They're going to go out and get the specs for that, like to get the actual, see how much money we have with putting that parking lot in, and also redoing that street. So we have set up as different alternates. So once we get that idea, then obviously we can probably combine both Pine Street and that if we have idea of what the cost is going to end up being. And we can
Was that a 2020 grant?
Pine Street, yes, we just received that one, Donna.
No, I mean, Boundary was what, 19 or 18?
Boundary is 19.
19.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I agree. When you get them in here, we can get more done for less money. That's for sure. Once they're mobilized.
So Ryan, John was talking about the budget issue, the budget time frame. Now we with the budget as far as John just mentioned.
What do you mean? Timeframe? No, he's gonna start looking to go out to bid soon. And then once we bid out the project, we'll be able to know exactly what we can, bond out for and see if we can actually get done everything we want to, because he has different alternates for different parts of the project. You have putting some parking on the side of the school, and you have parking in the tennis courts, two separate areas. They're gonna be set up as two different alternates, along with getting anything from Olive down to the school. So there's three different parts of the project. And once we have an idea how much it's going to cost for each alternate, then we can actually make a decision on getting a big bond to maybe do a lot of the project, and also bond out Pine Street once we get the estimates from John. That'll be more straightforward than the estimates that we're going to get on Boundary. We actually are not sure what the pricing is going to be that. Am I wrong in that, John? Because I'm pretty sure.
The grant for Pine Street, I believe, was around $150,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we can do that for a pretty good price. It's a small street, so I think we can do that pretty easy.
Yeah, when we put in the grant for that, it was everything. It was curbs, sidewalks, and a full reconstruction on the roadway.
And just Tim's comment is if we're looking for engineering fees and costs that we need to cover, if that somehow could be associated with the redevelopment and it's within a redevelopment area, we might be able, Ryan, if you had to, you could use, I think you have some redevelopment funds to pay for engineering for the Pine Street portion, as a possibility. Again, that's the flexibility of redevelopment. And if we had the bond where we pretty much allowed for it to cover not only projects, but professional engineering fees, it can be spent for those purposes.
Oh, no, I agree that they can start the engineering now. I mean, I can pay through the outside of the budget and then reimburse once anything comes through in the capital side. So that's not an issue. So what Don said to have him do the specs now, I would agree to, because that's not a problem to pay it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I believe we should do it all one shot, though. Do Pine Street and the Birch and Boundary at one shot. And
you want to try to bid it all at once?
That's my thought. I think you get more bang for our buck, I think.
If we can get the specs ready, get it out, advertised and awarded, I mean, it's a lot, but it's not. It's all boilerplate. Right, John?
Yeah, Pine Street will be really straightforward. Boundary, Boundary had a lot more alternates involved with it, especially with the drainage on Duncan. But Pine Street is very straightforward with getting that together.
And that'll be an option also, John, for the parking lot
Correct.
on Pine.
But we don't own that property. You want to tie it into, I mean, we own the one part of the next to the building, but do we want to tie into doing the whole entire, that parking lot also next to the building they knocked down? Or are we still trying to sell that with Patrick to have him do it all in one shot?
I'm not for, I know everybody else wants parking lots, but I think we need to get a rateable there. Parking lot's not going to be a rateable. That's me. You can outvote me.
But where the house was knocked down?
Yeah, it's 14, 18 Pine, whatever that was.
Mm-hmm. The other thing with the Pine Street, as we call it, Pine Street parking lot, 5 Well, we don't own that whole lot. You do know that. That driveway entrance is not ours.
Off of Pine?
Coming off Crown Point. The Pine Street exit is ours, or access. But we had a problem there a couple years ago with that. Those people who set up whatever they set up, those big U-Hauls back to back.
All right, so that's where that hill I was talking about then, right?
Well, the hill is from 141 Crown Point. That used to be a house. It was my grandma's house, to be exact. But that was a house that was knocked down to make a parking lot. And the downside of that, if you turn up the driveway from Crown Point across from Lynn's house to go straight, that whole driveway is not ours.
All right, so basically from the well to Pine Street we own.
Correct, where those parking spots are. However that happened, I don't know. It was way before all of our time. But yeah, because we had a problem with the 2 U-Haul trucks were back. We couldn't even get into the well house at the time. So anyway, they moved one, etc. But that's not our property.
Donna, do you know who owns it? Do you know who owns that property?
Yes, it's whatever that, the place who does the displays. Anybody know where I'm talking on Broadway? I think next to the carpenter guy, where they had Still,
The old drugstore then?
yeah, they had the trophies in the window or whatever they were doing. I can get that address, Tim. We have it. But they own the driveway, which we'd have to pave anyway because we use it. I would think.
Yeah, but they would have to allow us to be on there though.
Right. They probably will because they park on it, but I can get the address. I'll get that to you.
Anything else on that topic? And I'm glad to see we'll just keep it moving forward and
Keep moving.
keep it going. Anything else on that topic? We good?
We're good.
All right, so the next topic on there is enhancing River Drive, and that was on there from last year's work session. And the thinking back then was we had it on there to see if we can do anything with River Drive, developing it into and get some interest over there. But I don't know if that's going to happen, to be honest with you.
Chief, I believe you have something going on River Drive that you're working on at this point with Marty.
That was more towards Delaware View, what me and Marty met about, looking to enhance the security down there. So we have a couple of those poles that were left over from the old Borough parking lot, the ones that we use for Galbraith Park. And we were talking about putting some of them up to prevent traffic from pulling up on the on that field area, running a 5-foot chain in between the in between each pole. Just an idea that me and Marty were kicking around, looking for some feedback on it.
That preventing it for the field or preventing Delaware View?
Well, the way we were looking at it, it would be, I think it was about 10 feet of Delaware View and would wrap around to where the curb line is on River Drive. So it's about maybe, Marty, what do you think, about 12 foot there in that area? Just to where the curb starts.
I think he froze.
Marty, you there?
He's froze. There he
There you
goes.
go.
Oh, there you go. Sorry about that. I froze up. I heard my name and that was it.
We're talking about what we met with on Delaware View and River Drive.
Oh, right. Yep.
So I said about probably, what is it, about 15 feet, maybe 20 feet of Delaware View to wrap it around to the curb line on River Drive. What was that, about maybe 10 feet of River Drive right there? Towards the
Yeah.
end?
Yeah. I think it was getting rid of the white telephone poles and just making the, putting those old bollard poles in with some chain. So yeah, I'd say about 20 feet down Delaware.
And a small portion of River.
We had talked about taking those chains all the way down Delaware View with Joyce's complaints for legal dumping a couple years ago. So
There's plenty of poles. I think Marty stopped counting at about 25.
Yeah, there's 25.
But the other issue is along River Drive, now that we have Galbraith Park closed, when we took those security measures, apparently cars are parking down along River or Delaware View. And I know there were some complaints about that. So we put those bollards up and do twofold, one for security and two for, like Chuck said, the dumping issues that we've had there.
And like
Yeah.
Councilman Murtaugh said, that was brought up, I believe Councilman Murtaugh brought it up when we took those bollards first out of the parking lot.
how are you going to control parallel parking along Delaware View?
Well, hopefully the chains will be enough. I mean, if they park on there's no parking spots right there.
No, I mean parallel. So they're line up all along the opposite side of the houses, just legally parked on the street.
I haven't given that one much thought yet.
Are you referencing across the street, Chuck, on the Delaware View edge?
Yeah, it's no.
I park there all the time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I can see restricting so people can't get into that field, that kind of thing. But
Not the-
restricting parking there. I mean, if it's, they're not going to the park now they're going down there to look at the skyline, then
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
no,
put signage up and you can't park there after 9:30 or whatever. So, like the park,
Yeah, the
I don't
chain,
know. You
the
gotta have
chains were
people,
only
I
going to
think,
go up on the corner. So
Excuse
it's
me?
just to keep people out of the field.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how, like I said, how they're putting in time constraints, how you're gonna stop people from just parking there until 9:30 or so.
I
Mhm.
don't think that was the problem though, was it? Wasn't the problem that they're driving onto the park area onto River, not
Yes.
parking on the tree
Okay,
side,
all right, that's good.
right? I know Jeff Steffen, I
That's-
see him nodding his head.
No, that's correct.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
No, I thought the complaints were on Delaware View, looking out at the city skyline.
No, it's the like what Donna was saying about the field
Okay,
area.
All right, so what are we doing? What are we suggesting? Just what the chief said, or
yeah, they're gonna put new light bollards up, right, Marty? Nice
Yeah.
bollards, chains, and it'll stop the access from vehicles entering onto that property.
on the field itself?
Onto the field. That's all.
Right.
Yeah, it's basically it's replacing the
Yeah.
crappy telephone poles with nicer looking poles and chains.
so I thought there was poles there, so I'm thinking there used
Yeah,
to be like 3 or 4 telephone poles, 3 feet
Yeah.
out of the ground.
Yeah, there used to be a chain, or I think it was a chain, but somebody cut that. And
The only thing to consider is something that would be removable. So when the fireworks trucks pull in, they can access without having to,
well, yeah, we would just leave a big enough spot between the two. That's all.
right.
And
Fireworks are Ryan's headaches now.
then
Why is that? Oh, all right. I keep
Shout out
forgetting.
to
We don't
Brooklyn.
shoot there.
Brooklyn.
Forgot about that. My head. Right on. In the water. All right. Good.
We good?
And the other thing that was on, Mayor, with the advancement of the River Drive was, remember back with the engineer, it was like 2 years ago, from one of the Deptford property, where the Friends of Israel property, I think it was. And they were going to build something that was on wetlands, and they had to give money back to people that were on the waterfront. And we were going to get like $15,000 for that to try to like do some stuff on River Drive. Once they did not approve our project, and when we went back to try to figure out if we could do something else, they scrapped it over at the Friends of Israel side. They scrapped their own project. So they weren't, there wasn't nothing where they had to give some money to donate some money to the waterfront. So that was one of the things we were talked about, was putting speakers all along there. So when we have events down there, people can hear what's going on. That's something maybe we can look into putting in a project together on our project list to do if we're going to run some wiring for the future for possible video or anything like that. We can do with speakers also running along down the waterfront and stuff like that. So I don't know, it's just an idea, but that was what the main reason why that was on the plan last year with enhancing River Drive.
Yeah, that was, we were putting lanterns all the way down.
Yeah, lanterns all the
I
way
think
down.
at every cross street, and not crazy, but enough to illuminate it a little bit, not to be offensive to the residents.
Yeah, it was lanterns, benches, and speakers.
Yes.
And we've been talking about that for many, many years. And we had that, like you said, Ryan, the Sons of Israel trying to get that money, but it's scrap. So again, we tried and the money went away, and maybe if we can get the money or a grant someplace or put it in a bond, maybe we can do that.
Well, if like we're talking about now with all these different projects, we can all price them out and see what we come up with and try to get as much as we can for our dollar. And I know there is some money left over previous projects that last time you took all money that was available in capital and moved it was when you bought the Borough Hall that you're in now. But there is money in other capital projects that are still sitting there dormant over the last 5 years or so. We can see if we can get enough money to get do another reappropriating bond to reappropriate those funds to be able to do a project like this. That's why I think we should look into it more, see how much it would cost to get benches, lanterns. I think it would look really nice along that river front.
Yes, it would. It would definitely enhance it.
With that, along Delaware View, couple residents, is there an erosion issue? Because I know we shored up areas along river. Is there an erosion issue?
Say you got tidal water, there's going to be a little bit, but I don't think it's crazy. No, it kind of looks the same as when I was a kid there. Again, it's tidal, but it's not. There's not a lot of waves, that kind of stuff. Like River Drive gets the boat traffic and everything else, but there could be a little bit of stuff. Donnie can probably chime in a little better on that. I know we filled over the years too.
Right.
We've lost some trees. I mean, you can see where, some of the trees fell or are falling or need to be falling. But it's not that bad considering there's no volume there. There's no, except when the wind blows. It's not, bad.
Right.
I don't think it's an issue now.
I'll throw it out there. The other thing, though, what everybody's thoughts were to actually maybe cut the trees. So again, you can see that skyline. And I'm only talking maybe going to Summit Avenue, not into the wooded area. Cut them maybe at 3 feet, lay the trees down, take the limbs off and use them as barriers. And we can move them around, mulch, whatever. I know Flossie Packer might not like that or whatever with the trees, but just taking advantage of our view of that skyline. Living over there for years, it's getting better and better every year. So just something to think about. I know we get complaints, a tree fell, get ahead of it. I think Brian, you had a price of like 10 grand, something like that to take them down.
Yeah, I think we talked about
Marty.
that.
Yeah, it was right under 10, I think, or right around 10. That was only through one contractor though, so I could get more. But
Yeah, and again, if we just have them mulch everything right there, we take care to clean up and we move everything around. All they got to do is level them. But just that's one of my things there, and I think take advantage of that site. Again, it is gorgeous.
A lot of those trees need to come down anyway. A lot of them are half dead or leaning or have holes. I mean, for the most part. Do you agree with that, Marty? From Summit almost up?
I'm sorry, you guys are cutting out on me. Could you repeat it?
The tree line, the trees on Delview from Summit to River.
Yes.
Left. Most of them need to come down, correct?
I would say 90% of them need to
Right
come
on.
down. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we should just do it.
I can go into the project, into the bond of monies we're going to spend, as we're just get some solid quotes there, Marty, and we'll add that to the project.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
So I know, I guess it's been 3-4 months now. We had a resident question us on those trees, and we were going to put it all to the end of the year. And I believe Ryan said he want to check the funds for that. So Ryan, is that something that we have left over, or do we have to put it
No,
in?
that year's over, and no, you do not have any money left over in the budget.
That's my question. So we have to do it another way.
Blame it on COVID.
But well, like I said, like I'll get with Jack when we're getting around budget time now. Anyway, I'll get with Jack and see if we can come up with, like I said, any money that's left over in our capital, and see if we can move some without having to go any more extra capital that we don't have to, and move it down. Because with the Woodard project done, most of the projects are done that we wanted to complete over the last 10 years. So some of them have money in there. We can reappropriate that funding and use them for different projects, so we don't have to really go out to for another note. So I'll see what Jack can find out what we can do, but and I can get back to you on that.
Okay. You got some homework to do, Ryan.
Yeah.
Any other comments on that topic? The next topic we have is vacant houses, and at the last meeting, it was suggested to possibly have a new committee to discuss the vacant houses and to oversee it. And at that time, I thought it was, I really didn't want to appoint another committee just for vacant houses. It probably should come under the redevelopment committee. And that's where I think I'm gonna have to leave it to the redevelopment committee to also for the vacant homes to be underneath that committee. So Ryan, I know I thought we had a list of vacant houses. Maybe we can.
So when we talk about lists and things like that, we don't have a list that you actually certify, which is called an abandoned property list. We have a list of vacant properties, yes, but it's not under that rule of a vacant property list. You do have the ordinance adopted for abandoned properties. You already have named a public officer in your ordinance. In the ordinance, which is under 258, chapter 258 under the maintenance code, the public officer is the borough administrator, which I guess is myself. So the way it works that we're going to have to that I suggested, I'm going to let you know what I'm looking to do is now that guy has fell through. I've sent a couple emails to the person that's going to be the QRE, which is the Qualified Rehabilitation Entity. We're still going to have to get one at some point, but we can be our own designee up to a point. And that is the point of when we go to maybe rehab a complex, we're going to have a QRE. But before then, there's a bunch of things that need to be done. The first couple of things were adopt an ordinance, designated public officer, and his next thing is compile a list. And what we already have this list. So once I'm going to get with Dennis, and it's going to take some time because we might have to get all the people that are working with the code enforcement involved in this because it's a lot to do this. So they compile a list, and then we publish the list. It has to have 5 criteria on it. It has to have the block and lot, the address, the owner, any mortgage person, and why we're putting it in why we designated abandoned. And the 4 criteria are in need of rehabilitation, no construction for 6 months, no taxes paid in 1 quarter, and a nuisance that's defined under NJSA 40:48-2.3, which under that states kind of like what I'll have to throw Councilman D'Amico under, but that's what she's dealing with on her neighbor's house, whether it could have with the way it's owned. So that would be one of the things that we want to target. So once we can do a spot, like we can actually do just those 2 properties in Woodbine or something, or we can actually do a town-wide vacant property and compile the list. We publish the list, and then we have 10 days from that point to notify and send a certified and a regular mail to the mortgagees, the lien holders, and the owners of the property. And at that point, they can come in and do an appeal. If they want to do that, they have 45 days to appeal. And if they do not appeal, they go on a property maintenance list, and we certify as a council that this becomes our abandoned properties list. And from that point, when we go to the next phase, which is a bunch of other things, and I don't want to get into it tonight, but that's where you can do spotlight, which is actually eminent domain, an actual house, which is a huge process, but it can be done. So it's definitely, there's quite a few things, but at that point, once we have the list compiled and we want to go after and rehabilitate the house and go through Superior Court, we should have a QRE by then. But the main thing, the focus should be right now is to compile that list and get it published. We don't have it. Once we have a published list, we can go off that and start attacking these properties. But we always said we can't do anything with these properties. What you can, once we have a published list, which is in the newspaper and is certified, and the appeal process has been exhausted with the owners.
I mean, that shouldn't be hard to obtain because Public Works has probably 80% of them on a already established list.
Yeah, and exactly. And it's going to take what I would like to do since I'm designated as a public officer on this. I want to get with Dennis and go to all the ones that we already have on a list and just marking it down, getting all the information. We got to compile all the information, and then we got to put on why they're on the abandoned properties list and have all backup documentation, because you want to back up everything you have, whether it be past bills, anytime they're late, any late notices that they've gotten, all this stuff goes into play when we're fighting for the property to go into rehab. And what it is once we get this published on the list, under the QRE, we are allowed to go under them to rehab the house the way, whatever our specs is, and then the owner, if we don't ever take ownership, the owner of the property will then be able to put forth a plan to fix the property up, or they either let it go to us to fix the property up, and then at the end, either have the money to pay off all the money that we spent on getting the property rehabilitated at our specs when we sell it, or where we sell it and we get our money back that way. So it's definitely definitely possible to do. It's kind of doing what the guy would wanted to do under our QRE code, the QRE that came in at the end of 2019, and I haven't heard from him, but it's more that we're going to do the work up front. We were trying to do it where they were going to take all the lawyer fees to it, but we can either use our redevelopment attorney, which is Parker McKay, and or we can reach out to Maley, or we can have Tim do all this work. And I know Tim probably knows a lot about this. Be able to chime in if I missed anything.
Nope, no, you did well, Brian. That's exactly the process. Yep.
So
We
Ryan,
never really tackle this, and this is something I really think we definitely need to target. And so by the next meeting, I would like to have compiled the list and published it by the next meeting, to be honest with you.
okay, so the list that we draw up, Ryan, if we put, I think at one time we said there was like, I want to say 44 houses on the list throughout the town. I thought that number sounds right. But anyway, if we put all the houses on and publish it, does it delay it to where if we put, say, 20 houses on it, or?
No, you can put on any amount. Like you can put on, like I said, we can target, we know that near Donna, there's 3 houses right there that we know we can put on abandoned property. We can just do those 3. But the problem is when you go to Superior Court and the court offices, they're going like, why are you targeting these 3? So if we do a compile of a list of the entire town, and Tim will back you up as a lawyer, we're not targeting a specific person. There might be more dire issues there, but if we get all the abandoned properties on the list as much as we can, we're never going to get them all, but if we get as much as possible and we do our due diligence, any favorable judge in the Superior Court is going to say, okay, well, they put the effort in and did this, that they will, it's not like we're spot zoning or spot blight or anything like on a particular area just because we want to fix it up.
Wouldn't we prioritize that list? I mean, we could talk.
Oh, no, you can prioritize the list. That's not the issue. The issue would be, I'm just saying, like, you just can't, if we prioritize the list and say, oh, we're only going to go to these 3 because they're the worst, and we're just going to put that on list only.
Right.
You don't want to do that. You want to compile a big list, still target those 3. You know?
I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting, we do the whole list and then it's done. And then you move forward. And
and it should be updated once or twice a year.
Okay.
And it's a lot easier to get them on. Once you do the first publication, it's a lot easier to put them on. And it's really their burden of the owner of the property to get them off. Once they exhausted the appeal process, it's very hard to get off the property abandoned properties list unless they rehab the property or they sell the property or it's under bankruptcy and foreclosure.
Is there anything stopping us from doing what Paulsboro has done in the past?
That's what this is kind of what they do.
I know they've bought houses.
We can do that too.
Rehab them themselves, and then they make a small profit. But
Hello.
I work with 2 of the councilmen over there, and they said that's worked real well for them.
And that's the other part where you get the redevelopment bond, because it's in the rehabilitation zone that we already have, that we can go in, buy the property, and do that. But a lot of the ones in Paulsboro, they got a tax sale that didn't go to any lien holder, so it was easier for them to take the tax sale, foreclose on it under a in rem foreclosure, and then rehab it and then sell it. We don't have any of those type of properties that we can do that, but we can do once we have the abandoned properties list, which I think Paulsboro did. You can do what's called a special tax sale that you only invite lien holders that are going to fix the property up and become a QRE, and then they could sell the property back to the municipality as an assignment,
You're kidding me.
and then we can foreclose on it and rehab it and sell it. So there's a couple ways that's really a little bit down the road after the compiling of the list. But yes, Tim, that's what they Paulsboro did. But from what I've read, I mean, you can get the council people ask them how they get the access to the property. But from what I've read in the newspaper and the articles that I've read they got them through tax sale.
That's correct. For work, I have to go to every other council meeting in Paulsboro, and he said they are doing a great job down there, but that's how they're requiring them. Some of the residents just handing the properties over to them just because they don't want to deal with it anymore. But it's, yeah, they're getting on tax, and they are, like I said, doing 1, 2, 3 houses a year, getting them taken care of and back on the tax rolls.
So as you know, this is one of the topics we've been spinning our wheels on for several years. So Ryan, you suggested you can have that, I guess, give it to committee and suggest whatever those houses are, and that would be the first step.
Yeah, I want to compile a list before the next meeting and actually get it published by the next right around the next meeting, and then that way. But it's going to take a little bit. Try to get like a team together in the office because we got to send all these letters out certified and regular mail. Make sure, and then if we don't have good addresses, we got to post them on their door, and they get 40 days from that point from when we send out the notices to appeal. If they do not appeal, then we can keep them on the list and everything like that. We can actually authorize it at a council meeting in 2 months, like in March or something like that, or maybe April will be probably better. And I know Tim can help me with the notice that could go out to those properties.
Yep, absolutely. I've done it before. Yep.
Okay, sounds like a plan then. That's good. Everybody go with that? All right, so next topic. And again, we don't have to go in order here, guys. I'm just reading off my list here. If you want something before something else is got it out. So the next one is the improving internal communications. I believe this is where this is coming from. That was on the list from last year. When we have committee meetings, we were asking the chairman or somebody from that committee just to give all council a brief overview of what was discussed at that meeting, so we could have an idea of what's happening from the committee, whether it be personnel committee or ordinance committee, downtown redevelopment committee, whatever it may have been. That was one of the things. And another thing that was on there was between department heads. I know Ryan and I asked him at the beginning of the year to set up department head meetings between all department heads, police, public works, code enforcement, everybody. So everybody's on the same page to what we were doing. And he actually scheduled one for yesterday, and it was canceled for the snowstorm. So we're going to reschedule that, and just to get everybody in the same room, and the police knows what code enforcement's doing, and that kind of stuff too. And work is one big team, and not go in different directions. The other internal communications or communications with residents, I would say, connecting with our residents through communications. And I think we got a lot better on that, especially with our Facebook posts that the girls in the office put on when something comes up. I know Marty or the chief or any council person can call them and ask them to put something on. We address the council meetings, the actions that we've taken, the comments we've taken, and you got a lot of good feedback on that for communications, particular to the residents. I don't think I missed anything internally, unless if I did, bring it up on internal.
Yeah, I got a question internally. Can we have, is Nicole still the secretary for the land use?
Yes.
Yes.
Can downtown development get like when you have applications for a new business or whatever's going on downtown, can we that come before land use, can we see those at all? Can we be informed of any of that stuff? I know we don't really, we can't vote on any of that, but when Bruce was on downtown with us, I mean, he sat on land use. So everything, we would get that communication through him. With him not being on there now, can we either get that information from Nicole or Chuck or whoever? Can we get some communication back and forth on what's going on with land use regarding downtown?
You looking at subcommittee reports or for the all applications?
I mean, most of those businesses come to subcommittee. I mean, so subcommittee reports would work. Yeah, I think that would work for right now, just so we kind of know what's going on.
We'll just make sure you're included on the minutes. It's in the minutes.
Yeah, that's fine.
'Cause
However,
again, the same discussion as last month. If it's permitted by our ordinances today, they pretty much get approved unless they're doing something crazy.
right. And I know, some of us may have some questions and whatever else. So that's why I'm just asking if we can have that internal communication.
Brian, can you just make sure Nicole adds Travis to the minutes of the land use?
No problem.
Thank you.
Anything else under that topic? The next topic on there is solar opportunities, and that was on the list from way back, again, that we were inquiring about. And I think this is one of the things that may have fell through the cracks that we were going to ask our engineer to look into. Properties that may be a viable for a solar, and specifically was the 607 block of Broadway that we discussed earlier. I know it was brought up, there may be a problem back there with stormwater management and whatever else. And we were going to ask the engineer to take a look back there to see if that's even a viable property. As you know, it was suggested, or the property owner wanted to give that to us. We were talking about it. And again, it was brought up, there may be issues back there, but before we actually say no and end it, we were going to try and get some kind of engineering recommendation back on that field back there. And that's
Mayor, with that property selling, I think that might come off the table.
True, Chuck, that could be. So
I think the real solar thing there, what Russ wanted to do was put the canopies at the Borough Hall.
but that was talked about on the same list. You're right. But it was all included on that one list. Right, have we heard anything on 712 Broadway?
No, I haven't heard anything at this time, at this point. They haven't even reached out, I don't think, even to Tim about that property at all, since he sent that other letter stating that we're still going to do research on it.
Do we still want that property? Seriously?
No, I mean, that was, we discussed that we still would like to look into it. But like after you and Tim talked about it at the last meeting, where we left it was we should at least do some research before we even accept any gift from that for that property at all. But as of right now, they haven't reached out to us, and like as Councilman Murtaugh said, that we are they're in the process of selling.
Right, so I'll take the lead. I will contact a solar company just to put it to rest. And I will take them out there and let them look at that and see what they think. Because from what I understand, it's not even a viable solar area.
But that's what we're trying to find out, Don. That's all we're trying to find out.
Yeah, well, I'll do that. I mean, I will actually, there's so many of them, and I know someone that works for one, so I will, just so we know.
And I appreciate that because again, this is the one thing that we've been talking about and spinning our wheels on. So if we can get a definite answer, put it to bed. Let's put it to bed and take it off the list.
Okay.
You want to still look at it for the municipal building parking lot, or we're at the two parking lots, one at the pole barn, I mean, at the Public Works and ours for solar canopies, or no?
I think we should if it helps us and in the long run with our own bills and it's viable to do it. It never hurts to look at it. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but that's my own opinion. At least we're doing our due diligence to see if we can better the our utility bills anyway. Whatever else comes with it.
All right. So we'll look at both areas.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Donna.
Yep, no worries.
Next thing was the borough ordinances, which I know is a big issue. I know Councilman Norderby's not on here, and Ryan was supposed to get a list to Councilman Young. I'm not sure if that happened.
I wasn't able to get it to him at this time yet.
So Mayor, I'll take the lead on this one. We have a meeting between Donna, Bruce, and myself next Tuesday, the 9th, at 5 p.m. Go over what the ordinance concerns are. If anybody else has something that they want to bring up, email me, or 5 o'clock at the borough. We're going to go over what the immediate concerns are and how to move forward. But we do have a meeting set up, and once we get out of that, I'll send a email to the rest of council about what we discussed.
When's that meeting? Next Tuesday at 5?
Tuesday, the 9th at 5, yes.
Okay, I'll be there. Okay.
Okay, thank you for that, Tim. I just see Councilman Norderby just logged in for the record.
Sorry for the late arrival, Mr. Mayor.
All right, work comes first. But anybody else have anything for ordinance committee? Or Tim, you have any other comments?
Not at this time. After next Tuesday, I'm sure we will.
Thank you. I'd like to just comment too on the job that the ordinance committee just did with the parking issue over on Owl Street, West Owl Street. I was in that area a couple times this past week, and I saw that bus parked on in the soccer field already. So that's how this is supposed to work. Government's supposed to work this way. So we helped our residents. We met with the residents, and everybody's happy. The bus couldn't be parked out on West Owl Street for safety concerns, and you made it work. Brought it back to council, and they approved it. So thank you for the job that you guys did over there, and hopefully the resident is working out for him.
He's happy now, but with the new soccer proposal, he might not be happy.
Oh.
We talked to Defford about that, and we'll just most likely have him try to put the bus over by the corner of along the fence line of the apartments. So, and again, hopefully, I was supposed to hear Sunday night from Defford. I haven't heard back from them yet, so maybe they weren't they didn't see what they thought they were going to say. I don't know.
All right. Well, like I said, it's working. So
It's only
let's take-
Tuesday, Chuck.
Huh?
It's only Tuesday.
As excited as he was, I thought I'd hear from. He told me I would hear from him Sunday night. He had to talk it over with the rest of the club, so they were still walking around when I left. So too cold for me.
Right on.
Work in progress. All right, so let's take the updating the playground equipment. Parks and Recs, I know there was some brochures floating around between the council for any suggestions that they had to be updated. I know I forwarded everybody a resident that was complaining about Woodbine Avenue. And I think that spurred it. So we just I don't know if you guys had a chance to review that or what you want to do.
You got the money, Mayor. We'll spend it.
I know, that's the thing. And that's what I told the resident. We're trying. We gotta have the money.
I mean, we really just got to look at the old steel structures that we got, as far as playground equipment, maybe update some of it. But we'll take a peek at everything and
Right.
go from there.
I mean,
So when I get the emails, I've been pushing them out to the committee. So I get an email from that one company that was down the league. I get it once a week, every 2 weeks or so.
All right, well, we're moving forward.
Well, in those emails, Chuck, there's a game time funding guide. I actually wound up downloading, and there's all kinds of grants from national, state, and global level that we can look at and go after stuff if we qualify. And it ranges from all over the place. So I mean, you know, there's other options we can look at for funding.
More work for Ryan.
More homework. If you have that information there, Travis, forward it along.
He did. I think he sent it.
I got that email.
Yeah, I sent it.
got
to everybody. I mean, and speaking on that, I mean, grants in general, you know, I think that's something we need to start looking at. I don't know who we got to go to, who we got to this, who we got to that, but you know, there's stuff out there. Not saying that we qualify for everything, and I know it's a lot of work, and you know, it's a lot of time. It's time consuming and everything else to go after these grants. It's not like an easy thing. We just hit apply, we're interested, and there we are. You know, but there's stuff out there, and all the communities go after this stuff. You know, who do we? You know, some communities have more money to, you know, they have a designated person. So, I mean, that helps them, you know, and we don't have that stuff, but you know, what do we got to do to go after these grants more? And there's grants for everything. There's even grants for that 21st century grant, but there's other things for downtown. There's things for parks and recs. There's things for memorials. There's things for this. There's things for that. I mean, I'd rather, you know, I understand, you know, money's tight and everything, but you know, I'd rather go to the residents and show the residents, hey, look, we're trying, we're leaving no stone unturned. We're going after everything, whether it's grants, whether it's this, whether it's that, before we say, no, we can't do something.
Back in the day, I believe we had a grants writer that we hired. And like you said, I think the issue was of the amount of grants that we didn't get compared to what we were paying. If I remember, Chuck, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
That's correct. And Paulsboro still uses that same company we used to use. So, Ryan, I don't know what you want to do, put a RFP out.
Well, I have somebody that said he would write a couple grants for free for us, for me, from Brooklawn. I can get them on a couple ones that we want to do and try them out and see if we can get any of them. And then if he does well, then we can hire him for grants here and there. But we can get a couple small grants. I mean, it's not something we definitely can look into it. I mean, I did go to the classes for grant writing. I do understand how to do them. It's just that there is an art to it. I'm not going to lie. There's people that win all the time because of how they write it and how they write the narrative. Because it's very critical. I mean, I can do all the financials all day long, but but the narrative, it really gets people understanding of what the project's going to entail. So, and you need a really good writer. Sometimes you just need a good writer that can influence policy that you're looking to do.
So
You got to stretch the truth. You can't be totally honest.
I want to be honest. I don't want to do that.
No, you're just
stretching the rules.
creative writing.
That's what they are usually.
So this,
I'll reach out to him. He used to be the superintendent of Alice Costello. So I'll reach out to him and see if he's interested in helping us out. And I'll see what we can do, especially on the playground thing. That's the thing that I really think we need to target. There's quite a few things we need to playground.
okay. Anything else on that topic? We got 2 more topics, guys. You want to continue? Or you good?
Yep, I can go. I got to definitely got to do the next one because I have information on that.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Ryan. You got all that.
So this is on the rebranding initiative with Sandy Kelly. I spoke with her today. We've been going back and forth. We're just not connecting, but we talked today. She wants to do 3 sessions with 5 to 6 people each session. She doesn't want to do she doesn't think it should be done in a work session. But I do have dates here. I would do it across 2 nights, do 2 sessions one night and then another session another night. Split it off with like two council people, and 3. Get like a business owner on one and an department head on the one. So like 5 or 6 people on each group. So she can do the survey stuff that she wants to do for the branding and all. The dates I have are the 10th, 11th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. And if we can give her 2 good dates today, tomorrow morning, I can set them up right away, and then I'll get in touch with a couple of business owners. Travis and I talked about it, and then get in touch with a couple of get some department heads will be involved in that meeting also, that understand the town and stuff. And if anybody in the public that wants to volunteer to be a part of it, we can get a resident in the town too. So.
Brian, what were those dates?
The 10th, 11th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. She wants to do it across 2 days. So it takes about an hour each session. So she wants to do like a 6:30 and like a 7:45 on one day, and then do a 6:30 on another day. 6:30 or 7 on another day.
The 15th's a holiday, not that it matters, but
That's on, yeah. I mean, I'm free that day anyway, so if we want to do it, I mean, it's an easy day to do.
I don't care.
Yeah, I'm checking my calendar.
It'll all be through Zoom.
I'm good, except for the 11th and 17th.
I'm good except for the 17th.
Okay, eliminate the 17th altogether.
I'm good whenever. Any day.
How about this? I say not a Friday.
No.
Friday's the 12th.
Well, we don't. No, it's going to be the 10th, 11th, 15th, or 16th.
Right on. Okay. When do we meet? 18th. Okay. I don't care. I'm good to any of them.
Good.
Set them up.
So Ryan, I would suggest that then you and the committee coming up with those 3 groups, however way you want to break them out.
Okay.
And whoever you have in mind, from the public as businesses.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody else and if everybody else wants to join on that, that's fine too. But
yeah, we just want to get a couple business owners maybe in town, department head from like in each committee, in each of this group. Like Marty can be in one, I could be in another. The chief can be in one or whatever. So and then like obviously 2 council people, and then if there's a resident available that somebody like a friend of yours or something like that that wants to be involved in just in the discussion, and then she'll be able to talk about it. It's more about the rebranding and kind of like talking about possible logos and what the town represents and stuff like that. So that's what the session will be about. But you want to make it the 15th and 16th? Just nail down those 2 dates. I can't do the 16th, but I can do the 15th for the holiday. But 16th I have a council meeting. But.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll schedule it. I'll send out an email to all of council, and then you can get two people on each one. If you're available for the 15th or the 16th, and I'll put 3 on one and 2 and 2. So all of you are used. The mayor will be on one. It'll be 6 council people and the mayor, and we'll do 3 on 1 with the council, and then 2 and 2. So we don't violate the Open Public Meetings Act. And then and a business owner, possibly a department head or 2, and we should be good. I'll get it all taken care of.
Okay. Thank you. And do you want to hit the phase 3 of the water project? Any suggestions? I know we had another water main break a couple of days ago on Crown Point Road.
I do want to bring up before we, I'm all for getting ready for this project. So you started this in 2017 with the first phase, and you did 2018, you went out for the next bond. So what happens is once you get the bond, you got 3 years where you only have to pay interest only. And then you start paying the actual principal. That's why we had to charge more for the utility. And so what's happening now is that we're starting to pay the principal on the debt for the next 7 years for the big one that you did in the first round you did in 2017. 18 is a little smaller, but that's starting to pay the principal this year. You started the other principal last year. So if you wait until next year to finance the debt, by the time it hits the 10th year, you'll only have 1 year in the principal of the third phase, which is what I would suggest. I would not try to go out money if you can hold off for 1 more year. Because if you do this, you could probably save on increasing the people's water another an extra year or 2. But if you do it now, you're going to probably need more funding to pay the financing of the principal amount, because there's still money that's going to be owed 2 years as opposed to 1 when the other debt comes off. And that does not include you might have to paint the water tower at some point, do other things in the water. We could have another water main thing that we need to do, or we have to do other infrastructure improvements in the water department. So that doesn't include any of that. So it just includes just those 2, getting another note. I'm just letting you know ahead of time.
Well, if I may interject, I spoke with Marty, and we're going to meet this week to look at the exact, what the phase 3 parameters would be, as far as what mains would be considered next. We have an idea for sure. But also, we need to think about, I have to look at our PFNAs. Marty, did you get your last results?
Yeah, they're close. They're within they're under the 13, but they're right around 11. The average is I think right around 11.
I mean, that's something that we have to look at if they're going to increase, because then you're going to look at a granulated activated carbon filter that would need to be installed.
And Brookline's looking to do that
13.
this year.
There's no wiggle room with DP. And that's like $500,000.
Yeah, Brookline's looking to try to get that in their budget this year to try to just preempt it, because I think we're at 11.9.
11.9
parts per trillion, yeah.
Yeah, it's close. And then unfortunately, that's the way it's going to be. You can't negotiate that.
And how come Paulsboro is there any way with Tim? I know Paulsboro got through suing, through Sylvanta or whatever. Is there any wiggle room on people suing that in that mass tort or anything to try to get funding, to try to say we just want them to help fix our water plant on that?
So certainly individual municipalities to take a look at. I think everyone's probably aware where the state of New Jersey just recently sued Solvay collectively, arguably on behalf of all municipalities. It's in the infancy. I'm not sure I know what they're proposing to do, but they did hire plaintiffs' counsel and have sued Solvay about these anticipated cost expenses but it's like right in the beginning stage. I'm not sure where we are, what benefit we would get from that, but possibly besides looking at individually obtaining private counsel, reaching out to the DEP and seeing what their strategy or game plan is going forward with that lawsuit.
The DEP is on hold right now with most things. You know, personally, I've been in contact with them for several things, and they're like working skeleton crew. Like most of it is the email or a phone call through a cell phone if you're lucky. And if anybody has any DEP contact, you'll know it's true.
Yeah, they're all working from home.
Yeah, and they really only want to be contacted via email. So,
Hey, Ryan, is it worth looking at the interest rates versus what we have in the first two projects versus what the rates are today to combine everything?
good idea.
Well, right now you're getting like 0.95 in the band. The interest rate for a long-term bond, we can obviously float a long-term note. Then we go out 20 years or 30 years if you want with this project, and you could combine it, yes. But right now the short-term notes are too competitive and too low to really go out for a long-term bond because I think you'll lose money in the end. But that's certainly an option, yes. You could combine them, but I don't know what kind of rate you're going to get on a long-term note.
I'm just looking at, and we started this a couple of years ago. I'm sure the rates were probably a point and a half higher than what they are today. Again, point.
Well, they're low. I mean, you probably get one. You could probably get a $3 or $4 million note probably for 20 years for maybe 2.5 at the most, which is pretty good. I mean, probably 2, you probably could do it. But but right now, I just think the note, the short-term note is so competitive for the interest. I wouldn't want to move off of that at this point unless we have to. And I'm sure Jack would agree to that.
I think we got a plan for this treatment system. That's going to come because this state suing, that's probably 5 years, right, Tim?
Oh yeah, no, then because then Solvay, I'm sure we'll bring in a bunch of third-party manufacturing companies, and yes, I could see it dragging on forever. Yes.
Yeah.
What
That's
about-
like we're on our own pretty much.
That's going to come. It's all around us. No, we're lucky enough it's floating past us and getting in Brooklawn, but in Belmar.
Gloucester's real high too.
Gloucester, I mean, but we're creeping. So it's we got a plan for $500,000 that could have been Aqua's problem.
Did that turn it for Westville? Would that turn into a T4 plant?
Yes, more than likely. Gloucester turned into a T4. They have 2 filters.
And Brooklyn would be a 3. And Brooklyn would be a 3, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Now, what about NJ, EIT, or USDA? Look at that. No.
Well, you can definitely use USDA for this.
I mean, it could be grant loan, right?
Yeah, we can see if we can get a grant. I mean, that's something that we can draw up something. If John wants to get, we can get involved in trying to draw up something for the USDA under the improvement for the water plant for PFNA. I think that'd be a good option to do.
Yeah, or like you said, Donna, with the infrastructure trust too.
Yeah,
Right,
the
either
IBAC
way.
too, yeah.
Yeah,
We
either
should
way.
look at it. Mhm. The only thing with the USDA, some of that money is grant versus all loan.
Correct. And that's why I think that might not be a bad option to do. They're a pain in the butt to deal with, but not a bad option to go USDA for something like that.
Right.
One thing to consider too is the construction timeline, like what year you want to get everything online, because it might, be worthwhile looking into budgeting to get this designed and permitted. Especially with, like you said, Don, everybody being a skeleton crew, it takes a long time as it is to get things through DEP that, it might be worthwhile to get that process going, ahead of 2022.
And from my small experience with this PFNA, the DEP's much more receptive to these filters going in. So there would be less resistance, I think, with their permits and et cetera, because it's pretty cut and dry what you have to do, not rocket science. I think we should move forward with that, look into it anyway.
Right.
Well,
Maybe
Don,
we
as-
could, maybe we can put in some money into the budget for engineering and like you said, do the implementation and design phase of the water and the PFNA thing, so that way we're ready to roll whenever, so we're not blindsided when we're ready to hit.
Right, exactly.
I'll look into that.
Ryan, I can get all
Marty.
the bid information from our last GAC project that we had done as well. And at least we have some numbers from, it was a couple years ago, but something
Okay.
to look at.
I could probably get a current one since I'm kind of involved in one right now.
Okay,
But yeah, I'll get with you. I'll give you a shout.
sounds good, Donna.
Don, is Gloucester City putting theirs in now?
They're in. They're in. We put them online January 14th.
Because that's the other thing, get together with other towns and try to get the price cheaper.
Right.
Well, that's what I said. Brooklyn's going to try to go for one this year, so maybe we can do, piggyback on each other. Getting that.
60-40, right, Ryan?
Sure, no problem. You have more people.
Yeah, you got a bunch of witnesses here.
That's funny. 23 to be exact. All right, anything else on the phase 3? That was a late addition, and I'm glad we put it on there, and the committee's meeting on it, so we'll keep the ball rolling. That was the last thing on the agenda for tonight. They will remain on there for updates at the next work session. We'll cross them off as we go and as they're completed. Unless anybody has anything else to discuss, or if you want anything added for future work sessions, let us know. We'll put it on there.
The community center's bathrooms for the next meeting, work session.
Okay.
Just to add on to everything else. That's something that's got to be fixed down there if we're going to keep using that. I think Marty will agree to that one. I think there's some other TLC things got to get done down there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Kitchen's a mess.
I'll throw that all in to see how much we can get reappropriated in the funding and throw it all in there under the playground, River Drive, Bellevue, taking down trees, community center. I'll see how much money we can get out of that reappropriating.
So talking with Paul also, the burglar / fire alarm down there has got to be basically replaced too. That's about shot. I think it's old. It was probably there when the first fret was there.
And you also want me to throw video cameras on there too?
We already have video there.
There's cameras in
Okay.
there.
All right, Kate, could you please add that for next time?
We had looking into charging stations for cars, whether we put them in our municipal parking lot or wherever. That was actually brought up by a resident. It's becoming a bigger thing now, especially with this new administration coming in. It's kind of the way to go. The closest thing we have is obviously the Deptford Mall with Tesla chargers. The Tesla chargers, they don't charge everything. The next closest ones are Cherry Hill. And unless you have an adapter for your particular, car, you can't charge yours with a Tesla charger. The other thing with those are, if we go with Tesla or we look at Tesla or some of them, they have something called a destination charger. Most of these companies do. And it takes about, hour and a half, 2 hours to charge a vehicle. But, we put one of these in that to me, I look at it as drawing people into our downtown. Hey, I can stop here, charge, stop at Speranza's, go to the brewery, force people into our downtown and stay a while and see what we have to offer. There are grants out there, especially through New Jersey. I think they're offering up to $200,000 in one grant. Also, PSE&G is looking to install chargers all throughout the state. They got $166 million in order to do this. And they're specifically looking at governmental entities, to put it in place, stuff like that. Now, there's a couple different options we can look at. And they run both by AC power and DC power. DC chargers, there's none around, and they take about 20 minutes to a half hour for your car to charge. Where the other chargers take about, 2-3 hours, something like that. But I think it's definitely something we can look into, especially with this new administration pushing for vehicles to kind of go that way.
Be my
Travis.
suggestion, if we're gonna do it, or look at it, you look at it at the 114 Crown Point where everything's already disturbed. You know, I mean, it'd be great to put them in the Borough Hall parking lot, but you're gonna have to dig the lot up, patch it, and that just creates a later problem. You got there and then Crown Point before we pave that or whatever. Sure,
Yeah.
there might be power that we can come out of the well with or something.
Yeah, it's just something we, you know, something to look at. I just threw out the municipal lot just, you know, just for something. I mean, but I think it's definitely something we can discuss. Whether we decide to put a lot on Pine Street or whatever the deal is, you know, whatever we decide to do, I definitely think it's something to look at. Each station, each charging station is able to charge 2 cars. So that's 2 physical parking lots or physical parking spots rather that we would have to block out for electric cars. So that's definitely something that Councilman Young would have to look at through our ordinances on something, whether this is something we can do or not. You know, and go from there. Now, some places charge, so that's a way for the municipality to recoup monies. So they charge you to plug in and whatever the deal is. Some places don't. Some places like Tesla and others, they give you the charging station. Here you go. But you know, we gotta pay to physically hook it up and put it in. So you know, there's a lot of options out there. And again, like I said, through New Jersey, we can get up to $200,000. You know, I'm not saying it would cost that or we would get all that, but you know, we can get up to 200,000 to put in some of these. So it would be of little cost or no cost to us altogether. I'm not saying an entire parking lot, but I think it's something we should look at, especially since there's nothing local other than the mall, and they have Tesla chargers, and Tesla chargers, they don't charge everything unless you have a specific adapter. So there's other chargers out there that we can look at.
So Travis, as we talked about, I think that's a great idea, especially if we can get it for nothing. And if it attracts people to downtown, just 2 spots, that would be a benefit to the downtown area. If that's what we decide to do. So
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Especially, you know, like I said, those destination chargers takes about 2-3 hours. You know, I mean, I would hope you're not sitting in your car the whole 2 hours. You know, you want to get out, and that's really what it's for. It's designed, right? You know, to get out, look at the area, see what's around, stop at our businesses, go to the brewery, have a beer, you know, whatever the deal is. Stop at Speranza's, have dinner, Shalene's, you know, at the bar or whatever the deal is, you know, to get people into our downtown. And that's really, you know, it kind of works both ways to me. I mean, yeah, it's great. We're doing something for the environment and so on and so forth, but it's also forcing people into our downtown. So I think it's a win-win either way.
You mentioned PSC&G. You want to reach out to, I think you're talking to Addie right now, right? So you want to reach out to her to see where if there's a contact on that?
Yeah, about the poles and lights and stuff. Yeah, I can reach out to her and see if there's a different, either she deals with it or a different contact altogether. Chuck, do you mind if I reach out to
Yeah,
her?
that me.
Take the ball and run, man.
All right.
Huh?
So yeah, I'll reach out to her tomorrow and go from there. See what we can come up with.
I have enough.
Okay,
Probably
can
be
you-
leaving. Probably be leaving a message to Travis. They got their butts kicked up north.
Yeah, yeah, no, I understand. Last time I talked to her, I left a message. She got right back to me. She's, you know, she's great. So I don't have any worries there. So that's fine.
Hey, can you also add that to that list too, please, so we can just keep it
Yes,
rolling?
Mayor. Yes. Mhm.
All right, thanks for that, Travis. Anything else? If not, adjournment's in order. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming out tonight.
We need a
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you
Night,
again.
everybody.
Good night,
See you,
Have a
everybody.
good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, well,
Thanks, John.
Yeah,
Thanks,
everybody.
Tim.
See you guys. Ladies.
John, I'll call you.
All right, talk to you, Donna.
All right.
Hey, Ryan, can I ask you a question or do you have to leave?
I'm good.
Okay. So we're going to do an Excel document, right?
Yes.
And we're going to highlight, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do pages on each one of the subject matters and then just